We can see that here. We take the message, hash it just like we did before. But now we encrypt the hash with the sender's private key. When I encrypt a hash with a sender's private key, that creates what's known as a digital signature. The digital signature is appended to the message. Now, obviously, a digital signature is not the same as a digitized signature. A digitized signature is just the scan of a person's autograph. A digital signature, as we see here, is created using then hashing and a sender's private key, part of asymmetric key cryptography. That message with the digital signature stuck to the bottom of it is sent to the receiver. The receiver can now decrypt the digital signature using the sender's public key. That will then give the receiver the digest that was then signed by the sender. The receiver takes the message, runs it through the same hashing algorithm that the sender did, and ensures the digest they create is the same as the digest that they had actually received, the signed digest. So the hashing algorithm proves integrity of the message. But the fact that the receiver is able to open the message with the sender's public key means that message had to have come from that sender, because the sender would never share their private key with anyone else. So the two main benefits of a digital signature is to prove message integrity and prove who it came from, or in other words, proof of origin. This gives us non-repudiation. The sender can't later claim that, no, that's not the message I sent, or I didn't send it. So digital signatures are a combination, we can say here, of both integrity and proof of origin. Now, how does the receiver know that they truly have the public key of the sender? This is where we use certificates. A certificate is issued by a trusted third party, a certificate authority, that says this public key belongs to that person. That gives us even a higher level of trust, because now you have a trusted third party involved in then validating that actual, should we say, ownership of the public key. The certificates are used to link a public key to their owner. So we know this public key belongs to that person. And the certificates are issued by a certificate authority, following a standard known as the X.509 version 3. And the certificates are then accepted by most places around the world. The certificate authorities then act as that trusted third party and validate that truly this owner is associated or linked with that public key. This can be further expanded into an implementation of asymmetric key cryptography that we'll call PKI, or Public Key Infrastructure. Quite simply, this is making asymmetric cryptography usable. We use certificates to validate who we're talking to, and we also then have certificate revocation lists, or CRLs. If we have an employee who has left the company, and yet their certificate won't expire until the end of the year, we need to put that certificate on a certificate revocation list. That means it's been identified now as a certificate that is no longer of a trusted employee. The certificates are issued by the certificate authority, but quite often, if you want a certificate, you will not go directly to Symantec or Entrust yourself. You'll go to a local representative or registration authority. At the registration authority, you will then provide proof of who you are and your public key. The registration authority will accept that registration for a certificate and then pass that registration up to the CA. Only the CA can actually issue the certificate. There are a number of different types of certificates which are related then to the level of trust that we can place in those certificates. A very low-level Class 1 certificate, which might associate a person with their email address, is often used with products like, for example, Komodo and PGP and so on. And these are a fairly low level of trust, quite often based on a web of trust model, and good enough just to prove email. But if you're going to engage in online banking, you want a certificate with a much higher level of trust. If you are the bank, you will go and purchase at a fairly significant expense a Class 3 certificate. And that Class 3 certificate is one that would then be accepted in transactions dealing with, say, for example, online banking. All of the certificates have a certain lifetime, usually a year or 2 years in the case of a Class 3 certificate. At the end of their life, that certificate must be replaced. And if it's not, then the next time a person tries to go to your website, they'll get that browser alert that says, this certificate has expired, and do you still want to continue? And of course, that's a little bit embarrassing when a company who's trying to do security actually has an expired certificate. So to sum up with cryptography, do we use it? We sure do. We use it a lot these days at various layers within the OSI model. We use it at the wireless communications level using, originally WEP, for example, but we use it a lot still with WPA2 and even WPA. We use it for streaming video, for example, if you have digital satellite TV. We use the network layer with things like Internet Protocol Security, or IPsec. We use it for host-to-host communications, like we looked at the beginning of this module with things like email, encrypted email, for example. We use it for online banking, with things like transport layer security. And for application layer communications, security multipurpose internet mail extension, pretty good privacy, some of the tools we use there. We can also use it for the encryption even at the data link layer when we're doing link layer encryption between adjacent devices.